At a laboratory inside Stanford University, a man is sitting in an examination chair, having his nasal cavities permanently sealed shut for 10 days. Doctors are jamming balls of silicone deep into his nose, locking them in place with heavy surgical tape, so absolutely no air can enter or exit. Researchers are investigating a specific physiological premise, that the specific pathway air takes through the face, mouth versus nose, directly influences blood pressure, heart rate, and metabolic efficiency. Right now, 40% of the population suffers from chronic nasal obstruction, and roughly half are habitual mouth breathers. By completely blocking this subject's nose for 240 straight hours, researchers are creating a sort of biological crystal ball. The goal is to fast-track and amplify the physiological damage that years of mouth breathing does to the human body. We tend to ignore issues like snoring and sleep apnea as normal annoyances of getting older. But the data from this experiment suggests they are the primary indicators of a functional failure in our basic biology. Within hours of taping the nose shut, the subject's blood pressure spikes an average of 13 points, instantly pushing him into stage 1 hypertension. At the same time, heart rate variability, a key indicator of nervous system balance, drops significantly. The body is effectively plunged into a constant state of physical stress. But the most alarming data appears at night. After just a few days of mouth breathing, recorded snoring increases by 4,820%. Then comes the severe sleep apnea. The subject repeatedly chokes in his sleep, driving his blood oxygen levels so low that his circulation can no longer adequately support his body's tissues. It takes remarkably little time for a blocked nose to force a healthy human body to begin choking on its own anatomy. To understand why our respiratory systems collapse so easily, we have to look back millions of years into the past and ask why human airways are so uniquely fragile compared to the rest of the animal kingdom. The answer is a process called disevolution. If you look at our early ancestors on the African savanna, they had enormous, forward-facing jaws, expansive sinus cavities, and perfectly straight teeth. Then we mastered fire. Cooking tenderized our food, delivering a massive influx of calories with a fraction of the chewing. We no longer needed massive, powerful jaws to process raw meat and fibrous roots. This dietary shift created a biological trade-off. Fueled by calorie-rich diets, the brain expanded, stealing real estate from the face and shrinking the jaw. With less room, the flat palate pushed upward into a V-shape, severely narrowing the nasal cavity. These evolutionary shortcuts gave humans incredible intelligence and complex speech, but they also left us with cramped, obstructed breathing hardware, making us the only mammals on Earth physically capable of choking on our own sagging airway tissues. Back at the modern Stanford experiment, the researchers wanted to test how this compromised hardware impacts physical endurance, so they put the exhausted subject on a stationary bike. Human energy creation relies on two distinct engines. We can produce energy with oxygen, which is called aerobic respiration, or without it, known as anaerobic respiration. This visualization compares these two systems. On the aerobic side, a clean-burning process produces massive cellular energy, fueled by steady nasal airflow. Conversely, mouth breathing activates the inefficient anaerobic backup, generating less energy while flooding muscles with lactic acid and inducing physical panic. The stationary bike test proved exactly how drastic this difference is. Athletes who train to breathe exclusively through their noses can maintain the exact same power output while cutting their total physical exertion in half. The constant use of the mouth for air triggers a cycle of physical exhaustion, while forcing the skull into a state of structural deterioration. After 10 grueling days, the Stanford experiment ends, and the silicone plugs finally come out. Inside, the researchers find a decimated, highly infected nasal cavity. This damage is the result of a dangerous biological feedback loop. Inhaling through the mouth decreases air pressure in the throat. Without that pressure, the soft tissues in the back of the airway become loose, eventually collapsing inward. Nasal breathing has the exact opposite effect. Pulling air through the nose forces it against those flabby throat tissues, toning the muscles to stay wide and open. It reveals the ultimate physiological rule of respiration. Mouth breathing begets more mouth breathing, and nasal breathing begets more nasal breathing. Fortunately, human airways are highly malleable. The physical damage caused by years of mouth breathing can actually be reversed by retraining the body to inhale correctly. The air entering your lungs determines the stability of your nervous system and the quality of your sleep. Improving your health begins with the simple act of breathing through your nose.